talk about powerful questions, what does that mean? And why are they important in coaching, in life, in the way that people think about conducting intentional leadership practices?
So there's two parts to that question. One part I mentioned before about being defensive, right? So the question why is often going to put people on the defense immediately because it feels like an accusation. It feels like I have to defend my position. Even so, again, it depends on how you deliver it and what the intention is. So one way to avoid or kind of circumnavigate that defensiveness immediately is to ask what and how questions. So when you ask, just if you play the tape back, just give me the answer. I didn't say, why is my opinion important to you? I don't think. If I did, I shouldn't have. What I should have said was, or hopefully what I did say was, what about my opinion is important to you? And then it makes them want to solve the problem rather than get defensive and protecting their position. There's a great book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, which is, and he was an FBI negotiator, and he talks about this a lot. Like when you're negotiating with people who are holding hostages, right? To get them, keep asking questions where they have to consider problems because it keeps them talking and it keeps giving you information. It's the same thing. And I make the joke that like when I'm talking to my kid, he's got his brain is holding him hostage in his head because he's 15 and that's what hormones do. They hold us hostage, right? So I have to think about that when my kid is like giving me a lot of attitude or defending his position. And I want to ask, why are you doing that? Or, what's your motivation behind making this ridiculous decision? Whatever, my judgment comes out, my frustration comes out. I have to stop and think, if I'm actually going to get a real answer here, I have to start asking him, what about this is important to you? What went into making that decision? Because sometimes my instinct is to want to like snap out of it, but
Usually.
So
Stop it.
Which usually doesn't work with a teenager.
Yeah, right. And then when I'm solving a problem, then I'm part of the solution. Then I'm no longer out of control, but I'm part of gaining control. I've gained control. Right. So if I might ask you, to your point, why can't you just give me the answer? Well, then I'm abdicating control. I'm giving up control to you in my life. I'm saying, just give me the answer. Okay. But if I ask you, what about this scenario? Or what do you think about X scenario? Or you mentioned this before. What do you think about following through on that thought or that idea? Then all of a sudden I've gained control again. I've become an agent in my own life rather than just giving it up.
Interesting. And you've talked about I think this is what you're kind of getting into, the neuroscience behind asking powerful questions. Is that what you mean when you talk about that, the way that the brain responds, or was there more to it than that? Yeah, well, yes, and there is more to it than that. I mean, we can talk about thoughts and like beliefs and then beliefs informing feelings and emotions and emotions informing actions or lack of action. So the simple example I like to give about this is most of us who have any sort of attention, cognitive attention disordered thinking, whether it's genetic or whether it's learned or whether it's because I'm on my phone all the time and I'm just distractible. Wait, I mean, if you look at my desk now, you would see a couple of piles of paper and you would see some Post-its, right? And that's why I only have this screen here as opposed to the whole desk.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So if I have that pile of paper and it's got some bills and it's got some notes and it's got some things I need to attend to, and if that pile of paper is not attended to over a few days or a week or two, now I'm losing control. That is to say, I'm losing agency. I don't mean control over, but I'm losing the sense of agency. Right now, the paper's got the agency, the control. It's got the power in the situation. And then I'm going to start avoiding it more. So that's which is actually an action. It might be, it looks like inaction. It might even look like, quote, laziness, end quote, which is a judgment about inaction. But the action or lack of action, the action is to not take action, which then guess what? Reinforces the belief that the paper has power over me, which then perpetuates the emotion of, oh my gosh, I can't handle this. I'm like, right? And now the pile of paper's a foot tall. And I haven't paid my bills, and I haven't paid my taxes in 3 years. And I mean, it sounds funny, but like that's essentially one version of how the neuroscience of decision making works. So coaching might then look like, what about that pile of paper has got you so avoidant? What's so scary about it?